And breaking news this hour, the Senate Intelligence Committee has invited former FBI Director James Comey to appear before the committee in an open hearing. The committee is also requesting a copy of that reported Comey memo. The memo is indeed from acting FBI Director Andrew McCabe. Joining me now for an exclusive interview, Senator Mark Warner, the top Democrat on the Senate Intelligence Committee, right before he heads into a hearing of the committee. Senator, can you tell us what you're hearing back from Comey? Why has this meeting not happened yet, in fact?
Well, I think it's very understandable, Andrea, after the week that Jim Comey had last week, that he wanted to take a few days to clear his head. And I have a high level of high expectation that he will appear before the Senate in open hearing, tell his side of the story. We'll also give him an opportunity, if there's classified information, to appear in a classified setting as well. But I think the real thing that the American public wants to hear is they want to hear from Jim Comey. They want to hear from him in open hearing. And I think the appropriate venues, the Senate Intel Committee. If he chooses another committee, that's fine as well. But as long as he gets a chance to make his case.
If this does become a he said, since there are only two people in that room, how do you get the White House position? How do you get the president's version of what happened? How do you find out if there were White House tapes?
Well, Andrea, let's go way back to last Thursday and Friday, when the president changed his story about why Comey was fired, and basically the president said it was not because of Comey's activities or non-activities with Hillary Clinton, which was frankly never believable. And then the president himself said there may be secret tapes. And then you have the White House refuse to tell anyone in the press whether those tapes exist or not. And I think history has shown if a president's got secret tapes, that normally doesn't end up at a very good spot. But we're going to continue to pursue that. Then this week, we have the indications that the president may have relayed inappropriate information to the Russians. And then there's a question of, were there tapes or at least transcripts of that meeting? And now we have, in the last 24 hours, indications that Jim Comey, and this is very believable about Jim Comey, after he had any meeting, would take meticulous notes. I believe if he took notes that were coincident with that alleged meeting with the president, and they are anything close to what the press has reported, then we've really broken into a new realm in this whole investigation.
Have you asked Andrew McCabe, the acting FBI director, for those memos?
We have asked Acting Director McCabe for those memos and any other documents that he may have that is relevant to exchanges between Comey and the president and relevant to our Russia investigation.
Have you asked the White House for any tapes or any notes?
We are in the process of trying to find out whether the White House has any of those documents or tapes as well. We've not, I don't believe we've yet formally requested, but that I believe will be in process shortly.
The meeting that this refers to happened the day after Mike Flynn was fired. Do you have concerns that the president, after a national security meeting, a Homeland Security meeting, asked the others, including the Attorney General, to leave and met one-on-one with James Comey? Was that appropriate?
Well, Andrea, we have seen throughout this investigation a series of dots that seem to be connected, or I've used the analogy, a lot of smoke, that we don't know if there's fire. Whatever analogy we want to use, I want to continue to try to give this president and the White House the benefit of the doubt, but that benefit of the doubt only goes as far as them being forthcoming with tapes, with transcripts, with the truth. And so far, at least, I'm not sure we've gotten the full truth, at least from the White House.
Whom are you dealing with in the White House? The General Counsel?
Well, Chairman Burr has had a number of conversations, I know, with the General Counsel, but I'm not going to get into our particulars between the committee and the White House.
You met with the Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein, who's handling the Russia probe because of the recusal of the Attorney General. You met with him last week along with Senator Burr. Did he give you assurances that everything is going to proceed and be above board?
Well, I'm not going to comment on the specifics of that private conversation with the Deputy Attorney General. I do know he's coming back tomorrow afternoon, and a whole lot of members, and one of the things I think a lot of members are going to want to say, every answer doesn't necessarily have to be classified, are going to ask him the same questions I asked him last week, and they'll make their own judgment about how tainted or not he and some of the other people who've been affiliated with the Trump administration may be in terms of overseeing this investigation. One of the best things that didn't get that much attention last week was that Acting Director McCabe, a career guy at the FBI, has said that the FBI will not succumb to political pressure, that they will put all the resources needed, that they have put all the resources needed into this investigation, and they're going to follow the truth no matter what.
How do you reconcile McCabe saying that there had been no interference with the Flynn investigation with the Comey notes and memos, which indicate his concerns that there was interference from the president himself?
Well, that's one of the things we need to ask Jim Comey, but it could clearly be the case that Acting Director McCabe may or may not have been aware of the Comey memos, but I'm going to trust Acting Director McCabe until I can't trust him, and so far he's been, I think, a straight shooter, and he seemed to me to have really steely determination that he and the men and women of the FBI are not going to be intimidated, and they're going to follow the facts.
General McMaster told the reporters at the White House yesterday that everything the president had told the Russian was appropriate. He didn't deny that it was classified. He just said it was appropriate. How do you reconcile that with the fact that the White House is continuing to ask the Washington Post, our people and others who have information about that classified source, not to publish everything that we know?
To me, it seems very curious, to say the least, that there is still attempts from this White House to rein in the press from publishing all the information that the president relayed to the Russians. And then what makes it even further outrageous was you had Russian media in that meeting, but not American media. And now you've got Vladimir Putin in what is, frankly, an insulting gesture, offering to provide Russian intelligence about what took place in that meeting, as if anybody in this town, Democrat or Republican, would believe that.
Do you think there's any possibility that they bugged that meeting?
Listen, Andrea, a week ago, I said I didn't think there was anything this administration could do that would surprise me. And then they fired Jim Comey. So I'm not going to speculate on what may be in the realm of possibility or not. I know that, that normal administrations are very careful about what kind of cameras, other devices are taken into the Oval Office, but I'm not going to speculate. I do know this: if there are any kind of transcripts out of that meeting, ultimately, we in Congress are going to have to take a look at them.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.